In today's fast-paced real estate landscape, success demands more than surface-level expertise. It requires insight, adaptability, proven strategies, discipline, and the ability to take risk. The Agent Brew podcast blends candid conversations with wisdom from industry leaders who've walked the path before you. Think of us as your strategic pit stop to fuel your real estate journey. From the crossroads of the world in the heart of Times Square, welcome to the Agent Brew, a podcast that percolates real estate insights. I'm your host, Eric Zollinger of RealtyCo. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're here. I hope you are able to sit back, relax, and grab your favorite cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and listen to some real estate insights with the professionals. I'm so excited today to be able to have you meet one of my good friends and really a great person in the industry, both new development and in resales. Please welcome Jill Preschel of SERHANT.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, Jill. And, you have a very interesting timeline and career thus far. And I would love for you to be able to share with our listeners and viewers your elevator pitch. If you can summarize your career in just a few minutes, what would that be like?
Okay, so I've been in real estate since 2007. My expertise is new development, sales, and marketing. My portfolio that I've worked on, my portfolio of experience exceeds 45 buildings, 3 million square feet, and exceeds 2.7 billion in value. And I've led sales for some of the big name developers such as Alchemy Properties, Greystone Development, Lancy Homes. And from there, I joined the brokerage side.
Interesting. So you mentioned many buildings. Can you just name a few because they are pretty substantial?
Sure. Starting at the beginning, I guess, at Corcoran Sunshine, I was fortunate enough to work on the Extel portfolio of buildings. And at Alchemy Properties, I worked on Griffin Court, 35 West 15th Street, Sackett Union, 303 East 77th Street, 250 West 81st, and of course, the Woolworth building, which was
the Grand Dame.
Yes.
Great. So, going from new development to then resales, what has been one of your biggest challenges, would you say?
Oh, what a great question. One of the biggest challenges going from new development to resales, it's just changing your whole entire mindset, which I think can be a challenge. Just thinking about the same industry, but from a different point of view.
I'd like to point out to our listeners, Jill just isn't somebody that does well in the industry. Her second or third month of joining SERHANT and out on her own, you were, I believe, number 2 for the whole company. And so that just really speaks to how you set up your business, how you run your business, and you're able to scale it, right? Because you found early success in a new firm. And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles for people moving firms is because they feel like their business is going to suffer for a year or two. And so, and any particular reasons why you were able to find early success?
That's a great question. I felt nervous about the change. And so I said to myself, what can I do with this nervous energy? It happened to be summer, so everybody is away and there's not a lot of action in the market. So I took that nervous energy and I just set up all my systems and I started actively prospecting. And
so just doing the old boots on the ground, just putting the time in.
Yeah. And it was just fear-based taking action.
It's when I look at your career, you've really been that driver of people's business. It hasn't necessarily been you up front, but even in new development, you were the one that made it happen. We did deals together at Griffin Court, but we met while you were at Corcoran Sunshine. And so I've just always loved your tenacity, but your drive for getting the details right at all costs, and being a deal maker. As far as when you went to the brokerage side, you were helping run a whole team. How is that different now in this part of your career? I mean, are you enjoying it? Are you having fun?
Well, I was at Douglas Elliman working on a top team for a top producer, helping build the book of business, build the team. And it was just the greatest learning experience for me. And that was a shift in my mindset for sure. And digging in on the brokerage side when there was a big team, learning from one of the top producers was very cool experience for me.
That's great. So one of the things we like to do here at Agent Brew is I'm big on the gratitude game. And from what I understand, you are too. And the gratitude game is where you have rose, rose, thorn, bud. And we here at Agent Brew want to change it up a bit and have it be more like a little coffee break. And so we're doing the aroma, the brew, those first two things that, that wonderful commercial, the fresh start of waking up. It's just, wow, it just hits you. So what are some of the two wins? And then we'll go into the coffee grinds, which is something that is, you don't like to deal with, but you suffer through it. And then of course we have the beans, as being what you're looking forward to. So share with us, Jill. And also, what is your unique connection with the gratitude game?
I do this game almost every night with my two little boys before bed. It's a way that they share with me about their day. And we all just enjoy it and have a lot of fun. So I'm happy to do this with you.
That's great. So the aroma.
So, you sort of explained it, like what's energizing me right now, what's going great. I love that framework. So I thought about it, and the advance of technology to support agents in real estate has been really exciting for me, because it means that solo agents like me can do more, produce more, and be more efficient with my time. So
Interesting. Like you're really bucking the trend, right? You're going in the opposite direction, full steam ahead.
Yeah, I've just been amping up my automation, the AI through technology, and I've seen fruits from that already. So it's exciting.
Wow, that's great. So moving on to that first cup, what is a recent win, or what's really driving that your motivation?
I had a very cool thing happen recently, a win. One of the prior development firms I had worked for previously recommended one of their executives to work with me for a relocation. And the reason why it was so gratifying is I really take a lot of pride in my connections and my relationships. And the fact that they thought of me and my expertise was really satisfying for me.
That's great. And it's, once again, the experience is bleeding through, and that it's really helping you. Those calls are always great. And they come out of nowhere usually, and then it just is at the right time.
And what was fun, they were interested in Beacon Court. So what a fun property to participate in and to show. It's a beautiful, beautiful property.
That's great. Now on to the unlikable coffee grinds. Is there something you're dealing with right now that you just don't look forward to, but you're kind of struggling through it? And how do you really plan on getting over it?
Yeah, I think it's more of my own mindset. I think I have a really high driver personality. And so I find myself just always wanting more and doing more. And it's sometimes it's great. You push yourself, but sometimes you can push yourself out of balance. So I'm really trying hard to work on my mindset, making sure I'm balanced, making sure I'm appreciative, and celebrating the wins.
Do you have a certain routine you do when you find yourself out of balance? Is it?
So I've been listening to this special app by Gabby Bernstein in the morning, which has been really helpful. Or I'll listen to another sort of gratitude meditation. And I have a notes section on my phone at Apple Notes. And anytime something good happens, I remind myself to stop and write it up in my Apple Notes so that I can look back at it at the end of the day.
That's great. Especially since we're in the early part of the year. I've recently done something where I read right along those lines. Instead of Apple Notes, at the end of every week, you put one thing that great happened that week in a jar. And then the last week of the year, you're going to have basically 52 great things that happened to remind you of what went on in that year.
I love that.
So then on to the fresh beans.
Great. So I joined Serhant this summer. And I find that being at Serhant, there are a lot of opportunities. I joke around, it's the place of yes, because everything seems very fluid and everything seems like a possibility, and people are eager to help work through how to make that happen for you. So that's my answer.
That's great. Very good. I'm curious to know, you talked about balance and in your life, is there something that you do outside of real estate that you like to focus on, and really, when things get too crazy, that you go there to, recharge?
Just walking and listening to a podcast is a really good way to sort of shake things up if you need to. At least I find.
I agree with you. Walks are fantastic. So we like to finish each interview with a bit of advice. So, Jill, your younger agent self, if you could give one piece of advice, what would you give?
I would have loved to have started celebrating the wins at an earlier point in my life. Doing it now is great. It's better now than never, but slowing it down, taking it easy, celebrating the wins at an earlier point in my life, that's the advice I would have given myself. Celebrate the wins, no matter how big or small.
That's great. All about the gratitude.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for being part of our first season of Agent Brew. We've loved having you here, and hopefully you'll come back and revisit us in the future. I'm glad to see that you have our mug, and we wish you continued success in the year ahead. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we like to end every episode here at the Agent Brew with a positive quote. If you know me, you know that one of my favorite go-tos is none other than Zig Ziglar. So this week's positive quote is, they say motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. And with that, thank you, Jill, for being part of our episode today, reminding everyone it is a great day for real estate. The Agent Brew podcast is brought to you by RealtyCo. RealtyCo is your partner in real estate, bringing you game-changing benefits and services to empower your business. Visit realtyco.com for more information.